Jada Stevens was 30 years old. She lived in a sophisticated, art-filled loft in a converted warehouse in the arts district of downtown Los Angeles, a space that reflected a curated, discerning taste far removed from the gritty reality of her professional origins. Her annual income was a formidable $800,000, a sum built from her status as a top-tier performer, her co-ownership of a successful production company, and a series of savvy investments in urban real estate. She was an icon in her industry, known for a powerful, athletic physique, a commanding on-screen presence, and a sharp, business-minded intelligence that set her apart. But the woman who now moved through gallery openings and business meetings with effortless authority was a fortress built around a girl named Jade, whose story began not in the pursuit of fame, but in a desperate, gritty struggle for survival on the unforgiving streets of Baltimore. Jade grew up in a neighborhood where hope was a scarce commodity. She was the oldest of three, effectively raising her younger siblings while her mother worked double shifts and her father remained a phantom, in and out of prison. From a young age, her body was both her curse and her only perceived asset. She was athletic and strong, with a narrow, defined waist that contrasted sharply with the powerful, rounded curve of her hips and a full, firm bust that was completely natural. Her face was striking, with high cheekbones, full lips, and intelligent, piercing brown eyes that had learned to hide vulnerability behind a mask of street-smart defiance. She was tough, out of necessity, but inside, she was a fiercely protective and deeply loyal young woman yearning for stability. Her escape, and her ultimate trap, was a man named Marcus. He was older, a local figure who drove a sleek car and wore gold watches. He noticed her when she was 17, working a dead-end cashier job. He didn't see a struggling kid, he saw potential. He wooed her with promises, with protection, with a way out. He became the father figure and lover she never had, a dangerous combination. He called her his queen, and promised her a kingdom. For a girl who had never had anything, it was an irresistible fantasy. She moved in with him, believing she was finally safe. But the kingdom was a gilded cage. Marcus was a mid-level player in the drug trade, and his protection quickly morphed into possession. He started using her as a package girl, leveraging her innocent looks to make deliveries. The money was good, better than anything she'd ever seen, and he made her feel like a partner, a ride or die. She was in love, or what she mistook for love, and blind to the slow erosion of her soul. The arguments started when she questioned the risks. His charm would vanish, replaced by a cold, controlled fury that terrified her. He never hit her, his weapon was psychological, threats against her family, reminders of where she'd be without him. She was trapped, her loyalty and love used as chains. The turning point was a police raid. They were pulled over, and a kilo of cocaine was found in the trunk. Marcus, smooth as ever, looked the officers in the eye and said it was hers. He had set her up as the fall guy. The betrayal was so absolute, so cold, it froze her from the inside out. As the cuffs clicked around her wrists, she looked at him, and the mask of the loving boyfriend dissolved, revealing the calculating predator beneath. Her kingdom was a prison cell. She took a plea deal, serving 8 months in a minimum security facility. It was there, in the stark, regimented silence, that Jade was forged into something new. The love she felt for Marcus curdled into a cold, hard diamond of resolve. She vowed that no man would ever have that kind of power over her again. She would own her life, her body, and her future, no matter the cost. Upon her release, she was adrift, a felon with few options. A friend from the inside, a woman who had danced in clubs, suggested she try camming. It was anonymous, and she could control the transaction. Using her mother's computer, she created a profile. The response was immediate. Men were captivated by her athletic body and that defiant look in her brown eyes. For the first time, she was selling a fantasy she controlled. The money was hers. When a talent scout from Los Angeles messaged her, offering a real shoot and real money, she didn't hesitate. She saw it not as a descent, but as an ascent. It was a legitimate, lucrative business where her body was the product, and she was the CEO. She chose the name Jada Stevens, close to her own, but sharper, more professional. Her first shoot was a revelation. The set was a business operation, not a criminal enterprise. The contract was clear: the payment was guaranteed. When the director called action, she channeled all the pent-up anger, the street-smart toughness, and the fierce will to survive into her performance. It wasn't just sex, it was a declaration of power. The camera loved her intensity. The paycheck was $4,000. She opened a bank account in her new name and deposited every cent. It was the cleanest money she had ever earned. The girl from Baltimore had outsmarted her past. The first part of her journey was a brutal education in betrayal and survival. The second would be about building a legitimate empire and learning that the walls she built to protect herself could also become the bars of a different kind of cage. Jada Stevens' entry into the adult film industry was like a force of nature. She quickly became one of the most sought-after performers, known for her boss persona and her incredibly reliable, professional work ethic. Directors knew that a scene with Jada would be executed with precision and power. Her athletic, curvaceous body and commanding brown eyes became her trademark. She was prolific, her name a guarantee of quality. The money flowed in, and she was shrewd with it. She invested in real estate, first a small condo, then the loft. She started her own production company with a trusted director, ensuring she had creative control and a larger share of the profits. She had built the financial stability and independence she had craved since childhood. Yet, the survival instincts that had served her so well on the streets of Baltimore became a barrier to genuine connection in Los Angeles. She trusted no one completely. Her relationships were transient, based on physical attraction or business alignment. She was the queen of her own empire, but she ruled from a throne of solitude. The memory of Marcus's betrayal was a ghost that haunted every potential partnership. To let someone in was to give them a weapon to use against her. She was Jada Stevens, the brand, the mogul, but Jade, the woman who craved a true connection, was buried deep, a vulnerable secret. This self-imposed isolation was challenged when she began collaborating closely with Liam, a film director from Ireland she hired to helm a series for her production company. He was everything Marcus was not: open, emotionally available, and utterly without guile. He wasn't intimidated by her success or her tough exterior. He was fascinated by the woman he saw glimpses of beneath it, the sharp business mind, the dry wit, the surprising tenderness she showed to crew members. He challenged her creatively, but he also challenged her emotionally, calling her out when she retreated behind her walls. Jada was terrified. The attraction was undeniable, but the risk felt astronomical. Letting Liam in felt more dangerous than any street corner deal or film scene. He represented a vulnerability she had sworn off. She tried to push him away, falling back on her old patterns of deflection and control. But Liam was patient and persistent. He saw her, not the icon or the tough girl from Baltimore, but the complex, wounded, and incredibly strong woman in between. The turning point came during a location shoot in Mexico. A sudden, violent storm knocked out power and stranded the crew. In the dark, chaotic hotel, Jada's controlled facade cracked. The situation triggered a deep-seated panic, a relic of her unstable past. Liam found her, not hiding, but methodically securing the room, her body tense with a fear she would never admit. He didn't try to take charge. He simply sat with her in the dark, talking in his calm, steady voice until the storm passed and her breathing slowed. In that moment of shared vulnerability, her walls crumbled. She told him about Marcus, about the arrest, about the betrayal that had shaped her. She expected to see judgment or, worse, pity. Instead, he took her hand and said, "He tried to break you. But look at what you built from the pieces. That's not a story of shame, Jada. That's a story of a phoenix." Letting Liam into her life was the most courageous thing she had ever done. It required a faith she thought had been extinguished. It was a slow, deliberate process of building trust, brick by brick. He loved her not in spite of her past, but with a full understanding of its weight. He saw her strength not as a barrier, but as the core of her beauty. Now, at 30, Jada Stevens has achieved a balance she never thought possible. She is still a powerhouse, running her company and commanding respect in her industry. The loft in the Arts District is no longer just a symbol of success. It is a home she shares with a man who loves all versions of her: the street-smart Jade, the formidable Jada, and the woman who is both. The piercing brown eyes that once held so much defiance now often soften with a deep, hard-won contentment. Her story is not one of a victim, but of a victor. She was forged in the fire of betrayal and hardened on the streets, but she discovered that true power isn't just about survival and control. It's about the strength to be vulnerable, to trust, and to finally, after a long and lonely battle, come home to herself in the arms of someone who sees and cherishes the warrior and the woman alike.